Admiral Stavridis, let me turn to you and let's talk about these retaliatory strikes. As you just heard Peter say, there could be a multi-pronged response. It could last for several weeks. What are you anticipating, and what do you make of the timing, the fact that they seem to be giving time for Iranian-backed militias, some of them, to leave countries like Iraq, Syria, and Yemen?
Before I go there, I just want to commend Lloyd Austin for standing up, taking responsibility, apologizing. Boy, we need a lot more of that when people make mistakes. I have a lot of respect for Lloyd. In terms of the retaliatory strikes, I think we're doing this the right way, which is that the administration has tried for a couple of months to dissuade the Iranians from pushing the proxies to conduct these attacks, both at sea and ashore. That has not been sufficient. So now you ratchet it up, you escalate. I think the big difference this time, Kristen, is going to be in two ways. One, it will go on longer. And number two, I think these strikes will go not just against Iranian proxies, but against the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, who are forward deployed outside of Iran, but are actively supporting these militias. I think that will help send a stronger signal to the Iranians. Final thought, if that doesn't work, the administration is going to have to consider strikes inside Iran. We don't want to end up there. Let's hope the mullahs will be listening to this next round.
Well, I'm so glad you bring that up, because I want to get your response to what we're hearing from Iran. Iran is warning, quote, "No U.S. threat to Iran will go unanswered." How should the United States take that warning? And to your point, there is a scenario where the U.S. could potentially have to strike inside Iran. Wouldn't that lead to a wider war, Admiral?
It would, and we want to avoid that. On the other hand, simply saying, oh, now we're frightened that Iran has said, don't attack us, let's not do anything, is not a good option either. So we're going to play the ball down the middle here, come in very high, hard, but continue to strike outside of Iran. If we have to go into Iran, that's a whole different conversation, a lot of different options at play there. You probably would go after Iranian ships, their maritime capability, their at-sea platforms. And by the way, Kristen, you can also add cyber attacks to this mix, which would have impact inside Iran as well as outside. Again, I think the administration is making the smart move at this point. Let's hold that card of attacking Iran directly back, at least thus far.
Let me follow up with you on this idea of cyber attacks. Do you think that that is one of the options the administration is considering? And is there a concern that Iran will retaliate regardless of what the U.S. does, what the next steps look like?
Yeah, 100% certain that in the package of options the president is receiving, there are offensive cyber attacks, both outside Iran, going after the militia groups and their infrastructure, but I suspect also potentially using cyber means inside of Iran itself. In terms of should we be afraid of the Iranians responding, I would be concerned about it, but not as concerned as I would be if we were going offensive with cyber in China or Russia. They have a lot more capability to retaliate. I think we could overmatch the Iranians in cyber quite easily.
And Admiral, just before I let you go, let me ask you about one more thing that Secretary Austin said. He basically was asked about whether this would lead to withdrawing U.S. troops from the region. He said no, that is not under consideration right now. Is that the right move? And is there something that could target the U.S. to potentially start removing troops?
It is the right move for us not to withdraw troops, particularly in the face of Iranian aggression. And let's keep this in perspective. We have 2,500 troops in Iraq, maybe 500 in Syria. That's 3,000 troops. At one point, as you well know, when I was Supreme Allied Commander of NATO, I had 150,000 troops under my command in Afghanistan. we had 170,000 troops in Iraq. This is a minimal presence, doing good work, counterterrorism, working with the Iraqis against the Islamic State. The last thing in the world we should do is pull them out because the Iranians tell us to.
All right. Well, we always appreciate your insights and your perspective. Retired Admiral James Stavridis, thank you so much for joining us.
You bet, Kristen.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.